Welcome, everybody. I want to go through today more specifics about what I mean by a cloud kill chain. In particular, this image has been pretty popular when I explain it in front of crowds and of CIOs and security lieutenants. And this area right here would be, metaphorically speaking, a co-location facility or your headquarters facility. So as a part of your securing your multiple endpoints, lots of endpoints in your enterprise, and creating a kill chain. We first got to identify where are our exposure points at scale, and I like to say on one piece of paper, so that we eliminate as much as possible any sort of complexity or any sort of trying to understand, what we're talking about here. This is what we're talking about, and it is your headquarter facility here. And these little red spots are what I would say. So this would be virtual servers, an example of virtual servers. This would be an example of virtual desktops for those of you that are running like a Citrix environment or VMware Horizon or any one of the like a terminal services of some sort. And so this is what that signifies, and this would be an example of virtual systems. Now, technically, it doesn't matter if this is at your headquarters or at a co-location facility or anywhere, but either your data center or someone else's, but you're responsible for it. And I'm going to skip over this block for now and look at the point. One of the major points I want to make is, as you look at this, a lot of these reds are critical points that we need to pull together as a kill chain. And if you're looking at Amazon or Azure, it is very important that, again, having these red dots here, as we're working with organizations and leaders like you, is that this is an example of a web application, which it needs a different type of a defense structure, a web application firewall in front of application servers, which then, if this were written out to the next level, would be database systems. So as you're looking at Azure and AWS, we're going to have elastic fabrics. We're going to have Kubernetes and other ways that these organizations, Azure and AWS, are offering you. But we need to look at this from a structure, from an architecture that that you have endpoints here and you have endpoints up here, and having lateral protection between systems and having the appropriate defenses here at the AWS and Azure layer is really important. And all of a sudden, if you turn on a bunch of Microsoft security tools and a bunch of AWS security tools and your own security tools, you get essentially a mess on your hands. And so I want to point that out, because that's not the end of the story. We then have to look at, okay, well, I've got that going on, but what about my Office 365 for my email systems? I've got 365 here, and I don't just have 365. I have Teams. I have OneDrive, some of you having SharePoint. And what am I going to do about, how do I secure access in here? Am I using Microsoft systems, or am I using the same or similar third parties that I'm using out here? And that's, again, not the end of the story. We have Box, Dropbox, Slack now, Workday. So we're in a SaaS world now, as you all know. And what I'm a big advocate of is understanding what the problem is at scale, and stop looking at things in isolation, and stop looking at things, well, this technology is the best of breed in web application firewalls, or this is the best at identity. This core area here, and it's core for a reason, is identity. This core, authentication and authorization, and I have my two-factor authentication is under control, and I'm done. You're not done. You're absolutely not done. And this is a major core tenet of security, but it's one element of a kill chain. And so we want to look at these other layers and then take a step back. Just like you just don't start slapping your house together without really looking at how this is all going to work together. That's what I want to encourage you to do. And then finally, coming to this area here, what is that? This is an example of limited tooling. So why am I an advocate of limited tooling? So a lot of people like to talk about single pane of glass, and I like to call it limited, not SPOG, single pane of glass, but limited panes of glass. So ultimately, as a part of a kill chain, I want to look at all of these elements here and start bending cost curves. I want to start bending support curves into a limited set of security tooling. And where I can look at, it's a little hard to see this, but this is my Azure and AWS. So if I have issues here from threat management perspective, that I have my tooling rings a bell. If I have issues with my applications, my SaaS applications, or my file sharing, cloud file sharing applications, or anything related to my SaaS applications, that my dings a bell here, my wireless, my network, etc. So I like to have a limited set of tooling. And the truth of the matter is, you're never going to get to one set of tooling. It's just not going to happen. Because why is that? Because many of you are in Azure, and it just makes sense to turn Microsoft ATA on, Advanced Threat Analytics. It's a hunting tool. It's not a proactive blocking tool, but it's a great hunting tool for your domain controllers. You're going to want to turn on conditional access if you're using Microsoft Identity from a Azure AD perspective. And you're going to want to have CA, and that's conditional access is a great machine learning and AI tool, but it's also a wonderful blocking mechanism as well. So you're just going to want to turn on some of these native tooling, but overall you want to have a pane of view, a structure which you can train your folks on. You can have third parties like MSSPs involved in, and I think it's a much better win for you overall. So if you like this type of structure, if you think this is a great way to perceive security reality, I encourage you to click the link down below to be involved in my mailing list, because I'm gonna walk you through a series of these videos that I present to security lieutenants and CIOs. If you'd like to book a time to talk to me and my team and go through this as a representative of your environment, there's a button down below as well that you can book an appointment with me and my team. So with that, I want to wish you a good day, and